I'm Jennifer Briggs, for those of you who don't know me. I'm the e-commerce director with Feldman Automotive. So I'm not a marketing executive, I'm not a vendor, I'm a dealer like a lot of you in the room. So what I want to talk about today is creating buy-in in your dealership, right? We come to these conferences, we look at all these awesome products, and then we go back to the store, we get super excited, and it just falls flat. So we invest a lot of money to come to these things, and if we can't actually get a return on it, I mean, yeah, we go to some fun parties, but that's not making us money, and it's about making money. At least for me, it's about making money. So, see, look, animation, there it goes. Ta-da! So, Joey, it is already the next level, so do not steal my Twitter handle. All right, so these are a couple friendly faces from Feldman Automotive, and there's probably a lot of different people in the room. General managers, dealer principals, internet managers, sales managers. Now, regardless of your role in the dealership, you're still responsible for growing the business, right? Each and every single person has a different way that they're responsible for it, but if we can't come together as a team to grow the business, well, that's when we have a problem. So how many dealer principals are in the room? Anybody? Jen? How about general managers? Okay, sales managers? Internet BDC people? Awesome, great, we've got a good mix. So, we'll make this go. Uh-oh, see, here go the buttons again. All right, so hang on. I skipped a slide. I told you this. Here we go. All right. So when we evaluate the products at the conferences, we come back, we're going to bring it. To get the store to the next level, we have to give everybody a reason to get bought into the change. Why is it and what's in it for me? How do you sell this, right? We're going to change a CRM. We're going to change a training company. We're going to change a website. We're going to just change the culture. That's a big one, right? How do you sell this to your team, right? We've all had projects that have fallen flat on their face. It's just normal. But the question is, how do we do it? Well, I think that answer is really easy. I think it's actually the exact same way you sell a car. Right? Why do we forget when we get into management the steps to selling something to someone? Our staff, our dealer principals, our GMs, our sales managers, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. The first thing that you have to do is to identify potential objections, know your audience, right? Who is the audience? We talked about that a minute ago. So here we go, talking about knowing the audience. Get ready, we're going to see if this actually works.
If anybody else wants to come with me, this moment will be the moment of something real and fun and inspiring in this God-forsaken business, and we will do it together.
Super impressed at that point, by the way. All right, so most of us have seen the movie, right? I think that pretty much everybody knows that iconic thing. Now, Jerry Maguire was a movie about passion and change, but what was Jerry's problem there was that he didn't identify the objections of the team. He was asking for everybody to come with him, and only the cute little blonde girl did. Everybody else stood there and just looked at him because he was only thinking about him. He was thinking about his goals, not how to get everyone involved and what their objections might be. So, and of course, nobody came with him, like I said, because he didn't do it. He's going to have struggles from the very beginning. Now, the one thing, it's really no different from knowing your target audience when you're doing a marketing campaign or knowing, oh, hang on here. No, it's not moving. So the question is, who's your audience? Do you need to convince your dealer principal that it's worth the investment? Do you need to convince a sales manager it's worth an investment of their time? Is your sales team the one you're trying to motivate? So first things first, identify the audience and their objections. Now let's see if it will go. And let's see. There we go. I'm doing really good with buttons today. So step 2 is to identify the objections of your audience that they might have to the change. Now, this one is really my favorite, right? Because we've always done it that way. My problem with that is I'm kind of a why person. Well, why have you always done it that way? And if always doing it that way is making you enough money, at least I say this to my dealer principal, then why are you paying me? Because you don't want to grow. So we've always done it that way is used so often, but it really holds no merit. But in some stores, that's the way it goes. Well, we've done it this way for how many years, and we're going to keep doing it that way. So, damn buttons. Oh, it's being recorded. Whoops. All right. So, like I said, it really doesn't have any merit. The only reason it has merit is if you're not prepared for it, to explain why it's better to do it differently. When you're talking to the old school, I like to call them dinosaurs. I know it's not very nice, but I mean, if you think about it, if we don't change, evolution or extinction, it's not that hard. And I love dinosaurs, don't get me wrong. I love to take an old school person and show them how to blend that, because that's when you get the best return. But just like on your floor, when you're selling cars, you need to be prepared for every objection. And no, because I told you to, is not preparation. Now, I know some of our managers in the room are probably thinking that. But here's the thing. For your dealer principal, know what they're going to object to. Is it because they tried a similar program last year and it didn't work? Are the setup fees too high? What are they going to object to? When you go in to talk to him or her, make sure you know what they're thinking. So if it's the setup fees, when you're talking to the vendor, did you already negotiate for them to waive those fees so that you can show you're going to bat for your store and you believe in the product or process? For the sales managers, are they going to object because it adds 15 more minutes to their day? Now, 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, but for the sales managers in the room or anybody who's been a sales manager, when you have 50 15-minute tasks to do every day, plus you got to try and sell cars, I mean, that's a big deal. So if it's their time, you need to be ready to show them how it will make them more money or how it's going to make them more efficient for what they do. Now, for a sales rep, right, I love this. Are they objecting because they don't want Big Brother watching them, right? Just one more thing. It's not going to last, right? We've created this shiny penny kind of culture in our stores, right? We're going to try this product. We're going to try that product. Have you thought about how that affects your sales staff on the floor? If you're constantly changing things, it's just because you want to do it and they're not bought in because it doesn't affect them in a way that's positive. So I think you should actually get your sales staff involved, whether it's not in selection, right? Because we're going to do that. But when it comes to implementation and how it's going to roll out, if you get them involved, you can overcome that, oh, it's just a fly-by-night kind of thing. So if you're going to eliminate something, you first have to identify it. Pay attention. It's usually right in front of your face. If you just open your eyes and make the observations of what's going on in the store, you're going to see those objections. Kind of like if you're working with the customer, going through the road to the sale, watch for body language, listen to different things. We just sometimes forget when we're doing it this way. Sales is sales, guys. It's the same thing. And if we don't make those observations, we can have some seriously costly mistakes. Okay, so we've talked about identifying, we've talked about eliminating the objections. Now what? Okay, buttons. Okay, so here, value is defined as the estimated monetary worth of something or to consider something or someone to be important or beneficial. That's what value is. So to add value, all you need to do is show your team the return on their investment, whether it's money or time or just the commitment to the new process as a monetary measure or a way that benefits them. All right, so we've heard this, right? What's in it for me? And as managers, we're like, no, this isn't just be a team player, right? We want you to do this. We get wrapped up in the overall value for the store, but we forget that every single person has an important role to play. And, you know, this question does seem selfish, but it really is basic human nature. So why ignore it? Why not understand? We need to show them what's in it for them. Is it, you know, difference in 3 or 4 cars a month per sales rep if we could get 100% of the ups logged in the CRM? Or, you know, is it 5 deals? What's the math, right? What's their average commission? It's hard too. When we just did we've done a lot of big changes, but we switched CRMs. And so what I did, because it's always difficult on the floor, so I got my number 1 sales rep in each of my stores, and I just sat down with them, and I went through and I said, okay, here's the thing. I know that this is a huge change, but let's see how it's going to affect your business. Let's go through, let's see how it's going to make it easier for you. Is it going to make it, I really hate sitting at the desk. Like, I don't want to sit anybody down at a desk until they're actually ready to buy a car. And he's like, what? Really? You mean I don't have to pull them in? Like, no, take them out on the lot. Go show them this. Pull it up here. Do all of this stuff. How many more cars do you think you could sell if you did this process? That flipped it, right? It's not about logging up. It's not about doing what the management team wants to do. It's about how this is going to affect my bottom line. And when each person understands how it's going to affect their bottom line, then they're going to be more involved. They're going to work with you instead of working against you. So I love to do math, right? So I like to take it, show them in dollars and cents. You know, however many cars times the gross, all that good stuff. But that shows our monetary value and makes it important to it. And they start to believe in it. Not going to work for everybody, right? Some of them are going to need a little extra. All right, let's see if... Don't believe the dispatch! Don't believe the dispatch! Right? You can't tell them. They need to see it. You have to be prepared to prove it. You have to walk the walk. Don't believe me, just watch. Put your money where your mouth is, because seeing is believing. Sensory perception is a really interesting concept. The effect of how you organize data based on visual stimulus. Really simple, right? With big words. But if you want everybody to believe in your plan, sometimes you just have to show them. When I first took over the internet sales department with my current group, they thought that my goals for closing ratios were unattainable. Very unrealistic. I sat in a meeting because we get all of our corporate directors and all of our GMs. We meet once a week. And I sat there and they're like, Jen, really? 15%? GM says 11 is good. We've got 5 Chevy stores, 2 Hyundai and a Kia, so we really focus on GM's metrics. And they all just looked at me like, this woman is nuts. They were closing at 4%. And I'm telling them they need to be at 15%. So, but I didn't compromise. My owner's sitting there looking at me, nope, GM says 11. I said, no, we're going to do 15. That's what we're going to do. So I didn't compromise. I said, let me prove it to you. As a matter of fact, I actually changed my pay plan to prove it. That I believed in that process so much and where it would get us. So just watch. I'll show you. So not all of the stores were on board with the new process at first, but one did. It only takes one person or one store or someone to let you show. So I had one store that really got on board right away. They weren't the worst. They were at a 7% before we started. And then, so within the first month, they got to 12. Then the other stores started to pay attention. Like, wait a minute. maybe 15% is not that unattainable. So when they saw it, they started to believe, and that's all it takes. Don't get offended. Sometimes you have to go through the motions and show them. If change was easy, everyone would do it on their own, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking about what seems to be super simple, right? Selling a change that's going to make us more money. I do like the people that I work with, but I go there every day to make money. That's ultimately what we're doing, regardless of the role. So, there's risk involved, but deviating from what we've always known has been super scary, right? So motivate them to make the change. I'm really proud to say that 7 of my 8 stores are now closing above 15%. I've got 3 stores closing above 20%. So, but same type of thing, simple process. It took me, now we're at 16 months in on our new process before we could get there. I didn't take a day off. That was the other thing I did to prove it. I refused to take a day off until somebody hit 15%. So I started in June. April, we had somebody finally hit 15%. We started this process in November. So I took the day off, and for you internet managers in the room, all my website inventory feeds crashed. So I was taking a long weekend. I'm in the car talking to the web providers for about 4 hours on my first day off with the current group. But, you do what you got to do. So I'm really happy about that, and my group is really happy about that. So what I had told my owner when he said that, GM is happy with 11%, and I just said to him, my paycheck's not happy with 11%. Right? Is your paycheck happy? Internet, sales managers, general managers, dealer principals, this concept is so simple to sell this, but we have to think about it. It really is about our paychecks. It's about our bottom line, the number of units. So it adds up, but you've got to show them that to get them to believe it. So the third part, and this is probably where we all fail, right? I think I've got you so far on, knowing your audience, identifying objections, eliminating objections. That's all pretty simple when you think about it like you were selling a car. But this is the part I think where most dealers struggle. And that's implementing accountability for the change. Right? What happens? We got everybody all excited and they're pumped up and they're ready to go. And then what do we do now? How do you bring this amazing process, product, philosophy to life in your store? What does the follow-through look like? So for some reason, when we're ready to go, this happens. Let's see here. Got to click it. Buttons. We got it geared up. Now what happened? Okay, something went wrong. Oh, it's his fault. I've been in a lot of industries. So before automotive, I was in oil and gas. Before oil and gas, I was in military resale. I have never seen a blame game like we do in dealerships anywhere. And for me, I just don't understand. But this is what we see all the time. It's so familiar. Everyone's excited about the process. They're confident that the new product will help sell cars, and it falls flat, and no one wants to take responsibility. So this is what I say. I don't give a flip whose fault it is. What I care about is identifying what went wrong and correcting it. There is no money in the blame game. I don't have time for it, and neither do any of you. And I think that part of the reason some people are afraid to jump on board with these processes is because they're afraid of this. It's part of the culture of our industry that somebody's head's getting chopped, right? They're going to lose their job. Something's going to happen. But for me as a manager, it doesn't work. That's my fault. It's my fault. I didn't do my job. I didn't hold people accountable for following up to make sure that it would be successful. So once we can just forget about whose fault it is, then we can figure out what went wrong and fix it. So we have to, we've got to start fixing. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And you won't know what went wrong. Because if you're not measuring each step of it, how do you know which part broke? We get stuck on this blame game again. Now, we're not project managers, right? We sell cars. Project management is a concept that's kind of foreign in dealerships, but it's really very important to the success of this. Just as important as all of the documents that we have to use to sell a car, you need to have a map for implementing that accountability. Okay, so when you start out, this is how you can avoid the blame game, right? When you go to launch your project, your process, your product, whatever it is, I don't care if it's a DMS, if it's a CRM, if it's just a new digital marketing product. The number one thing that you have to do is you have to define your expectations. Tell that vendor what you expect. Tell your team what you expect. So we have this new product that makes it easier for you to log things. I'm expecting to see a 15% increase in your logging in the CRM. Set really specific expectations for them, right? Because if they're not afraid of failing, they know what they're reaching for, it's going to make that change less scary. So just tell them, hey, I'm looking for you to, put 30 customers in a week. I'm looking for you to make X number of phone calls. Tell your vendors, if that's what it is, this is what I expect you to do for me, right? Some of my vendors are in the room. I tell them that all the time. I expect you to help me with this. I expect you to give me these reports. Define your expectations. Line it out. I actually have for all my departments, which is funny to say in the car business, I was proud that my departments were the only ones that had documented process manuals. And I have expectation sheets for my staff. And they sign it when they're hired. They're given a folder that has everything in it. I expect you, for our call centers, to make 125 contacts a day. I expect you to come to work on time. Seems funny to have to say that, but for you internet BDC people in the room, real sales staff too, right? But they sign it so that they know what I expect of them. Now, once everybody knows what you expect, you have to measure it, right? Because if you don't, and you just tell them you expect them to do it, they know you're not watching. So what are they going to do? Measure what you intend to manage. How are you going to do it? Is it a report? Do they need to give you a log that they're keeping manually? Turn it in, print it out, whatever it is, you have to. We print them, right? Because I know I'm digital, but I still like paper. I don't care about killing trees. Don't tweet that. I do care about killing trees, but I still like to have something tangible to touch. And I think that a lot of our staff does as well. So we like to, print the metrics and tape them up to the wall. Works for me. Whatever works for you, but you need to know, how you're going to measure what you're managing. Of course, we all love this one. Inspect what you expect. Simple. Super simple. That's what we forget, right? I have weekly requirements for all of my internet managers. We have a centralized, decentralized call center. Same processes, same expectations, same scripts and training, but all in different stores. So each of my internet/BDC managers are required to submit to me weekly internet process performance reviews. I have a scorecard, they have to use it, they have to grade their staff, and they need to send it to me so that I know that they're inspecting their staff's performance. I actually have them text me every single night the number of calls that came in, that they put out, emails, appointments, new use, whatever it might be. And I remember I had this new guy. He came up from Ohio. We're in Detroit, so Michigan and Ohio have this thing. So he starts, and I told him, okay, here's the thing. This is the format I need it in. This is the data that I need, and I need you to send it to me every single night. And he says, oh, this was fun. He's like, well, you can get that out of the CRM, right? Of course I can get that out of the CRM. But this is my way of making sure that you're inspecting and you know how to get it out of the CRM. That you are looking at the things every single day that I know will make you more money. It doesn't do me any good that I know it's going to make me more money. You have to know it. You have to do it. So, some people do checkout. Some people do lots of different things to inspect it. But you just have to do it, whether it's listening to a call, whether it's going back over your desk log, whether it's doing one-on-ones with your sales staff. It doesn't matter. Just do it. And that is where we fail the most. We're so busy, right? Does anybody in the room work less than 10 hours a day? Joey, really? We're so busy that we get caught up in the day-to-day of everything that we forget that. And that's a big mistake because that's really super important. I mean, that's the only way I can say it without big fancy words. So, after you do your inspection, reward the positive results first. We always correct people, right? You're listening to the call. Oh, you need to come over here because you didn't say this right. You didn't ask for the appointment. You didn't do this. We focus on the negative a lot in this business. Anybody notice that? Not Garber, right? You guys are like the best ever. Only positive. So I always say reward positive results. My store that hit the 15% first, we took their top 2 people and what did we do? I don't know. We sent them to some sporting event. We sent them for a weekend. Because everybody was like, "Ooh, wait a minute. I want to go to Vegas. I want to go here. I want to do this." So when they see the positive reinforcement, it gets them excited and wants them to be there. But I tell you what, one thing, and it's on here, I didn't give it an arrow because, it goes with it. But we have to also respond to negative results. So if you're trying to bring this change to life, you're trying to get everybody on board and you got that one guy or the 5 guys, whatever it is in your store, whether it's I got a few. I got one GM that just does not want to get on board. I have those people. But you have to respond to those negative results. I send out every day a stacked list of all my stores of where they are, so showing the one who won't get on board on the bottom of the chart every single day is my response to the negative result. But here's the thing, if the other people in the store see you just letting that slide, what do they think about it? Again, we're back to the shiny penny thing. If you're just going to let them get away with not being on board, then what are you doing? Now, I'm not saying you have to fire them. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you need to respond to it. Make correction. Maybe you need to go back and pitch it to that person again. Maybe they pretended they were bought in, but they weren't really. So go back, show them. They're not videoing, they're just audio. Okay, so I was a 5-minute manager series person when I first got a job. You've been there. So I had the books on tape. Used to listen to them in my car on my way to my district meetings. So what I loved about that was they said if there's anything wrong, problem with an employee, there's one of 2 reasons. 1, they don't know, and 2, they don't care. So hang on one second. So I've added a little hand gestures to this. As managers, it's our job to eliminate the don't know. So if you have negative results, go back, re-educate, show them what it's supposed to be. So once you eliminate the don't know, then you know what you're left with. They don't care, and then you know what you need to do. Always look at yourself first when you're evaluating this, because maybe they just didn't understand. You can still sell it to them. Take that extra effort. Everyone needs to be a part of it. Don't just shut them out. Some of them won't change. Let me just go ahead and say that. Some of them you might have to cut, make an example of, whatever you want to do in your store, but make sure that you actually make the effort to get them involved and sell them again before you take that action. Okay, let's see here, more buttons. Okay, so we talked about project management because really that's what it is, you guys. When you're selling this and you're bringing it to life, you have to manage the project. And we talked about that. We sell cars. We don't manage projects. So I hope that that made it really simple for you. And one second. So hang on. Is it gonna work? Probably not. Damn buttons. So there it is. It's simple to sell this to your staff if you follow the steps. So we had identified our audience. We had also then identified the objections that they were going to have. And also we addressed them, eliminated them. And then we had to build value to show them that return. That's the simple part, right? And then we're going to go through those steps of, let me go back to the steps because I didn't put them in the slide. Defining the expectations, measuring and inspecting and creating the rewards. Once you do that, it's really just then a matter of looking back at it. You have to constantly go back to show that ROI. The project management stuff, it sounds scary, but it is really simple. It's just like managing your team. It's like managing the road to the sale. We just forget to think about it like that. We get so caught up in it when it's not that complicated. It's really simple. And I know it seems weird for me because I do come from a background where I've done a lot of project management. But I think the key is just stepping back from everything and just making that observation. It is really, really simple when we take a couple seconds. So, guys, I don't have a whole lot more. I know we still have some time, but does anybody have any questions they want to talk about? I can give you some more examples of what we've done, but I don't really think that it's that valuable to look at what I did because it's not the same for you. Everybody, just like I said, identify your audience. Everybody's stores are different. Everybody's culture is different. Everybody's in a different situation. I mean, I could stand up here and give you metrics all day of what we've done, but I'm in Metro Detroit. I got 5 Chevy points that are freaking, two of them are 7 miles apart. So my market is way different than yours. I want to know, what are you struggling with? What's going on? So right now, I'm going to just open up the floor. If anybody wants to ask questions, has any input, then I'll probably talk for, I'll take over your whole thing. But does anybody have questions, want to talk about it, struggling with something in their stores, in their market? Is everybody awake? Yes.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
My name is Katya. I'm from Fort Lauderdale. And I know in the beginning you were talking about don't be a dinosaur.
Yes.
Do something different and make a change. And the way I heard it is that you said that we want to assess not the market, but in this context, we want to assess the salespeople, we want to assess the managers, on different levels, what their needs are.
Absolutely.
Instead of just coming out with what our ideas about those needs are. What steps and what process you have set up in your stores that help you assess what the needs of the management?
That's fantastic. So for me, I ask. I travel around, and we have a nice structure. I go to we have towers. All my sales managers are sitting together, and I'll go sit with them. I'll sit with them and just watch, but then we'll talk about it. And I ask everybody to keep a this sucks list, right? Because they're going to be more open to tell you what's wrong. So keep it there. Let me know. Just jot it down as you're going through your day. But sometimes they don't want to talk. So one thing that I also do is I live inside of the CRM. I'm a data geek. I'm a software girl. I'm a trained business analyst and love statistics. And a car guy at the same time. But sometimes if you just go into your CRM and you can see their behavior, who's desking, who's doing this, who's doing that, you're going to see areas where they're struggling. So just through watching, making observations, and then asking. Like I said, we do have our weekly corporate executive GM meeting, whatever we want to call it. So my GMs are supposed to tell me what's going on in the stores and what they need help with. They never do, right? Because they're competitors. Our biggest competitors in our market are our own stores. So they're not giving me that feedback. So I have to go out and I have to get it. And I think it's just about being approachable and talking to people. I mean, the same thing, actually, I was in one of my stores last week, and one of our porters was walking by, and this kid, I say kid, he's like this big, and I think he weighs 250. He's always just smiling and happy, and he walks by, and you can just tell that something's wrong. So I'm like, what's going on? Well, they had done something different, and I'm just like, well, what can we do to fix it? The first thing is just to watch them. If you get used to paying attention to cues, either in the CRM or just verbal body language you can see, some people are doing surveys where you can send it out and say, hey, what's the biggest thing you're struggling with? I just went to it's called Fuel Detroit. I know it's this leadership conference. It's going to be doing a tour, so I don't know where you guys are, but I know they plan on hitting some cities. And, I'm going to get his name wrong. Colonel, I should look it up. He's a Navy captain who took the worst ship in the entire Navy and turned it into the best performing ship. And so how he approached it, he said to every single person on the ship, he says, what do you like? What don't you like? And if you were in charge, what would you change? So maybe just put a survey together like that. If you don't have the resources to be out in the stores every day, just observing what's going on, send an email out, do a Survey Monkey. There's lots of different things that you can do. Just ask them. Any other questions? Go, come on, we got time. I love it. I think that the conversation is better, right? Because it's about what you're going to take back, not about what I have to talk about. So go ahead.
I'm a therapist, so I can ask questions all day long.
You know what? We're good. I can talk all day long.
So, to relate in the field of the therapy, because I feel that there is so much connection.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you see that any struggles that, sales management, sales professionals face, but basically not related to your change and not related to job at all, but related to, their family or maybe work?
There's a lot of things that can affect their performance. So it's going to affect how they buy into this change. But I think, and actually Bobby is a great person to kind of talk about that, because Garber has a fantastic culture with getting and making the employee important. You see a lot of dealerships that don't make them important. So if you're struggling with something at home and you come to work and it's not a fun place to be and nobody cares about you, so you have a problem at home, a financial problem, a relationship problem, whatever it might be. So I always think that happy people do better work and are going to be better at making these projects come to life. So it is definitely going to affect them. How do we deal with that as a manager or as a dealer? Again, I'm sorry, this goes back to paying attention to people, and then doing something to take them to lunch, something simple like that, just to make them feel better. Talk to them about it. Human capital is probably the most undervalued asset in our business. Well, I heard the statistic, I think it was last week, 66% turnover rate in the automotive industry. That's nuts.
I was reading that.
Yeah. You think about how much it costs us to train someone. I mean, because think about, that's a project too, all of the hiring and training. For 66% turnover, make them feel valuable, but you're going to have to pay attention to that. That just blows my mind. I know that I spend a lot of time, I train primarily our managers. About once a quarter, we'll do a whole group training where the salespeople and the BD agents can come, but I train my managers and I expect them to then take that training down to their teams. And as you grow and get bigger, and I'm sure we've got single points, we've got groups in here, that gets harder to do, but you have to have a process so that you can kind of keep your finger on the pulse of your staff and what's going on with them.
Excuse me, I haven't seen the report of the 6%
Hours, right? It's really hard. And I think probably too, this is just my opinion, I don't have any statistics on it, but again, I think I'm a good observationalist. So I think we're having a shift in the automotive industry right now, right? We were, I like to say we were hunters. So think about that mentality, right? The one-time kill. Just get the car, over the curb. And we have a shift now, which I think is going to be good, to where we have to become farmers, right? We're going to have to nurture those relationships. And so, but as a hunter mentality, so most of our managers are hunters. They have that mentality. They're gruff. There's an ego. There's a lot of stress. And so if they're not nice to the staff, the hours suck, right? Let's be honest about it. I love it. I work probably at least 14 hours a day between the store and home. But if it's not a great environment for them to be in, what's going to make them want to stay? As a management team, we have to put that together. We have to give them reasons to stay. And I don't think that a lot of dealers are there yet. That's why I think that the turnover rate is that high.
In your transition from hunter to farmer, do you think there'll be a step change in terms of how the individual is rewarded?
Yes. I think you're seeing it already in a lot of stores, for sure. One thing that I trained with our staff on for the transition, because I think we've done a whole consumer-centric process. Everything's about the customer. And so what I train on is that if you think about average gross on a car deal, for that one-time kill, $2,500 on average, but the lifetime value of the customer is $250,000. So we're talking about $250,000. So I just say simply, I'm a smart businesswoman. I'm going to chase the bigger number, right? You turn them into an advocate, then they're could be like $3 million if they're telling everyone about you. But the gross, chasing the gross for the compensation, I think sometimes changes how we deal with our customer. And it's not about them, it's about us at that point in time. So as we do make the transition in the industry to farmers, we're going to have to see a shift in how we're compensating our staff for them to start thinking not about me, but about the customer. No, go ahead.
Do you see other industries where you identify this step change taking place?
You know what? I immerse myself in my business. So once I've made the transition, I'm not paying too close of attention. But I would imagine that it's nobody else as intensely will be affected as the automotive industry. When you think about what's happening with our consumers in the market, the margins on they're just diminishing. Consumers have more information. So everybody carries a computer or two in their pockets. So I think that the change is going to impact our industry more, but I'm sure other industries will be affected as well. If you look at hotels, you look at retail, you look at, any type of, we are moving metal, but we're a customer service industry. People buy from people that they like, so you have to make them feel good about it. So I would think that you're going to see it, more like our travel reviews, all of that type of stuff. So absolutely. But will it be as intense as the car business? I'm not in those businesses, so I don't know for sure, but I know how intense it is and how important it is for us.
How do you keep negativity out of an office space when you've got 9 people with different personalities and it just starts down that?
That's a great question. That's fantastic. Fantastic question. What do? I roll in and I make everybody get out of their chair. I make them stand up, and they love it. So I'm just like, okay, all right, you had a crappy day, something happened, you don't like her, she looked at you funny. I don't care. Stand up, shake it off. Here's the thing. That's affecting your paycheck. I had a girl one time, oh my gosh, I had to take over one of our departments and go in. We blew up the whole department. I had to sit there for 5 weeks. And the very first Friday that I was there, I'm looking around, and we had a bad negative energy in that department. It was awful. And I get up and she's gone. And she's like, oh, this customer he was rude to me, and he was this, that, and whatever. And I looked, she says, I'm going home. 4:30 on Friday. Right? She's a BD agent. I said, okay, honey, you had a bad day. You can go home. That's fine. Let me just let you know. You won't have a job tomorrow. Are you going to let negativity affect your paycheck? She's like, well, that guy was a jerk. I said, so you're going to let one a-hole mess with your paycheck? Why? Why? No, and it's hard, and sometimes you're going to have more drastic measures. I did. I fired half of that department. I mean, I literally blew it up because the negative culture was so entrenched, and sometimes you're going to have to do that. But sometimes just rolling in, playing music on your phone and being silly and goofy can lighten it and make it fun for them. But it's going to depend on your situation for sure. But I just like to crack jokes. Or we have British Accent Fridays, like really just me. So they have, some people pay to wear jeans, like the administrative staff. We have a centralized corporate office, anybody who's not on the floor. And I'm like, I don't wear jeans. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to pay and I'm just going to talk in a British accent all day. That's what I'm going to do. And it makes them laugh and giggle, especially in an office space. Though, I mean, they're the most, probably second to our, porters, the most undercompensated, overworked departments in our store. So we focus a lot on sales and fixed, and we sometimes forget everybody is part of it. So that's a great question. I think you can rent like costumes and stuff like that and make it fun. Yes?
Along the same lines as what she was stating, however, unfortunately, as a woman dealing with all men staff, and I mean no disrespect here in the room, but it's very difficult and we don't have the turnover rate because we're a very small town, so I have employees that have been with me for over 25 years.
Wonderful.
So it's very hard when you have a sales manager and you've got a new person being from the city coming into the small town, and you have a lot of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with that?
Okay,
Sales manager.
absolutely. And that's something we deal with for sure, because it's a boys' club, right? And I don't know any different because, like I said, before automotive, I was in oil and gas. I've always been in a boys' club, military resale. But what I do is I just prove it. So if you've got one thing, and we can apply it to sales managers as well, I will work specifically with one person. Like if I'm having a struggle and I got one person who's in and one person who's not, so I'll make a deal with them. Like, look, here's the thing. I'm going to work specifically with you so that you can make more money. Here's the exchange. I need a copy of your commission voucher. Show it to the one who's not on board. Because here's the thing, that's what they're going to believe. They're not going to believe you. You're a new girl. You're from the city. What do you know? But if you can take it and show them the money, right, another Jerry Maguire thing, that speaks to them. Now, that is going to take a little bit to show them that, but I think just getting in the trenches with them as well. What's your role in the dealership? Internet director. So it's really difficult. There's that struggle and rub, right, between the sales managers, internet BDC managers. But there doesn't have to be. Get in the trenches with them. Sit at the tower. Desk some deals with them. Show them that you're willing to do what they do. And you're willing to do it side by side with them. And then you're going to get a little more street cred with them, and they're going to start listening to you. So when I first got into the dealership world, I was an administrative director. I wasn't in operations. I was in, support. So when I got the job in marketing and BDCs, I hadn't sold a car. So how am I going to market to car consumers? How am I going to train and set appointments if I don't sell cars? So what did I do? I sold a few cars. I need to understand the process. I need to understand what they're dealing with, because sometimes, again, we get so stuck on pushing our agenda that we forget to step back and ask him, well, what would you do differently? If you had my job, how do you see it playing out? And maybe he's just cranky and wants somebody to listen to him. But just try that angle. Yeah.
Can I help?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, talk, share. Absolutely.
There is, I mean, we all know that there is like a range in our societies, right? There is white power, right? There is manpower, and all this and that. Now, we don't talk about those powers a lot, but it's there. We understand. You are there too, where there is a lot of men, and you are a manager, and you are a manager. So it's not manager and she is a woman. So it's really difficult for you employees for a man and being there for 20 years to understand how in the world she's a manager.
Is that me?
and not-
Oh.
and not that. So there's maybe that person.
That means it's the time's up. No.
Work with companies and find different benefits.
Huh?
of
No, you're good.
And just bombard them with different companies, not create one, but something that they actually did, make us feel acknowledged, and that you actually value them, and that you're in the same level with them. Otherwise, this conflict of power.
Yeah, and you see that a lot. And I think that, again, just paying attention, because I saw that when I first took over an internet department, that they didn't like us. So I sat down with my sales managers every day. One thing that I encourage you to do, and I totally ripped it off from Ritz-Carlton, is a lineup, right? Sit with your new car manager, used car manager, whoever, every morning. This is what we've got lined up for the day. This is who's coming in. This is also part of how we had such great results in increasing our closing. Because then instead of working against each other, I was helping them to be ready for the customers who were coming in. And it gave us connection. It gives us, they don't all like to get in the CRM. He's been there 20 years. He might not know how to use a computer. Right? So sit with him and talk with him. Okay, this is what I got lined up for you. This one's got a BK. This one wants this, that, and whatever. And then they're going to start feeling better because you will sell more cars. And then again, street cred. So, well, that was the 50-minute mark. Thank you.